What's up, guys? It's Uncle Makara today, Gods and Goddesses in Training. I'm at Science City today, this book fair, and thought I'd shoot a quick video today talking about how having a small circle can actually be very, very helpful, okay? Because when you have a group that has a lot of people, you got to understand that you're taking in all of their insights, all of their ideas, all of their belief systems, all of their values, right? And you might get so easily skewed with that mentality. Whereas if you keep your circle small, you have picked the right people to be in your atmosphere, to be in your vibe, to be in your stratosphere of what you stand for and what you represent, then it becomes a very different experience of life, right? So I really want you to start to understand something today, that when people ask you, why aren't you giving me approval? Why aren't you giving me validation? You see, you become magnetic when you don't seek validation from anything or anyone. When you don't need anybody else's approval. Do you guys get that? Like, that will make you like a magnet. So this is what I want you to understand today. When somebody tests you, oh, why aren't you giving me approval? Why aren't you giving me validation? Why aren't you, chasing me all the time? Why aren't you reaching out to me? Listen, I'm a busy man, I'm a busy woman. I got a lot of things to control. I got a lot of things to, think about. Listen, I'm a person who spends their time very wisely, right? I have my calendars blocked at certain times so that I can enjoy life, have experiences like this where I just go and, chill for the first half of the day and so forth. So it's important for you to understand that these little pockets of space, wherever you're booking your calendar, right? You create these magnetic portals for yourself. I always like to ask my deities for reflection. The deities are the spirit guides that I work with, and I always ask them to reflect on the experience in front of me. And I love to see the experience through their different eyes. So let's say Horus, the sky god, sees the situation in a very different way than Shiva or Kalabhairava's energy, right? They would approach, let's say that you get caught in traffic, right? Shivaji will be like, it's all meaningless anyway, it's everything and nothing at the same time. Just enjoy the Maya and the illusion of getting stuck in traffic, because that's a part of everything. And you have to learn to enjoy every moment, not just the great moments, but the bad moments as well. That's like something that Shivaji would say. But Horus, he would zoom out of the situation. He's more like a falcon or a hawk type of energy, right? He goes up and he sees the bird's eye view, and he goes, you know what? In 14 minutes, the traffic doesn't seem too bad. You just gotta, push this one out. You just gotta grind it out and just, stay focused on what you're doing. Stay focused on your breathing and so forth. So you see two different frequencies or energies, two different perspectives. Now what I do as a shaman is I take every perspective that I'm receiving and I come in almost being the spiritual glue that holds them all together, right? So I, at the end of the day, have a choice on which energy or which frequency that I'm going to double down on and ultimately listen to amidst all the other ones, right? So yeah, this is a very, very powerful understanding of why people aren't really going forward with their power, right? They feel suddenly drawn back or drawn inwards. Let me tell you this. People are going to have an agenda, so you better know what yours is, okay? What is your agenda? Everybody has an agenda, right? You got to know what yours is. Otherwise, people will keep just putting their agendas onto your lap, and you have to just keep, adjusting to that level. Whereas there's a better way to look at this. Whereas you allow yourself to, again, be the cause point, right? Be the choice point of all of this. So you don't have to necessarily react all the time to everything that everybody's saying, I've understood this, that it's okay for me to not answer a question. right? Have you guys felt this? Like, for a people pleaser, this is very difficult to understand, right? This concept. For me, when I'm interrupting somebody, it's not from a place of wanting to hurt them. It's the fact that maybe their tone is harsh, or maybe they're speaking in a way that isn't aligning with my truth. And so I know my value, and so I'm going to speak slightly louder over them, right? Not that I'm trying to cut them off, because that's what the outside world will think, right? So that's one perspective, right? And another perspective is that you're allowed to do things which isn't this kind of like conversationally. If you look at a conversation does not happen like a text message, right? It doesn't happen like I say something, then they say something. I say something, then they say something. It's not like this, back and forth all the time that we imagine it to be. There are abrupt pauses, there's body language, right? There's pressure points, there's tension flowing through the body. There is moments of sexual tension, perhaps. There's moments of creative tension and creativity. There are a lot of different things that you can attune to, a lot of different portals and a lot of different adventures that you can go on based on this mentality of I have the choice. So when you have the choice, you return to the point that you are the one in the video game that controls all of this, right? So the way I think about it is, when I rest at menu mode in the video game, I just become pure awareness, okay? Which means what? I'm just looking and perceiving and enjoying whatever is in front of me. I'm merging with the environment around me right now. You see, there is beautiful nature out here. You guys see that? So I'm just allowing myself to merge with these flowers, merge with this tree, merge with these crows and birds. Okay, and eventually I will notice I'm not going to be drained. You know why? Because my consciousness is merging with things around me. Now you have to use discernment at the same time. Like if somebody's having a very negative experience, you don't want to immediately absorb whatever they're telling you, right? As well. So you want to have this kind of balance of understanding when I've got to switch, when I've got to character hop, when I've got to embrace, when I've got to go to menu mode of pure awareness. And understand that you have all these different parts of you working at the same time, right? They're working at the same time. And if you keep your circle small, you'll understand that you already have parts to deal with. Now you have let's say you have 20 people, right? Or 29 people. You have their consciousness to also reflect from. Now, that is a big responsibility because you as a leader, you are able to hold other people's consciousness. That's what makes you capable for leadership, okay? So at the top, you have a lot less time. You have to use your energy more wisely. You see a crow over the head, right? Already that rebirth energy coming in. And if you really understand how to perceive the greatest version of you through different walks of life, right? You can see yourself as an anime version. You can see yourself as a Futurama version. You can see yourself as a Wild West version. You can see yourself in different versions and still understand that you're responding to the self very differently, right? Like my cowboy version probably looks and sounds very different, right? And behaves very different. But now what if I saw the cowboy in somebody else? Now that changes my relationship with them. Do you guys get that? So let's say that I have a relationship with somebody and I consider them a vampiress, right? Like a vamp energy. When I speak to them, I'm going to have a very dark feminine conversation with them, right? I'm going to have a very specific style of conversation with them if I perceive them that way. So perception creates reality. Oftentimes you've got to be aware of how you perceive other people because your judgments of them is actually going to make them like that, okay? So your assumptions about somebody start to create the reality that they're placed in. You guys get that? So if you're constantly suspicious about somebody else's behavior, they're going to betray you, or they're going to, you're going to lose trust for them. Why? Because you've already set up that container. You see, your consciousness sets up boxes and containers And it allows and gives permission for you to do certain things or take your mind in certain directions, certain pathways. You guys get that? So now, I really want you to think about this today. Where is it that I'm choosing my consciousness? Where is it that I'm choosing my actual state of beingness, right? And when can I just let go of the video game, have this autopilot? And when do I need to make choices that I start to stack with little small wins, right? Taking on a Kaizen approach, allowing myself to lean into the edges of activity and then finding little pockets of beingness within that activity, right? When action and awareness merge, that's when you have the flow state, right? That's when you really start living, because you're not doing anymore. You are the task, right? I'm not a painter painting. I become the painting itself at some point. Subject and object starts to merge, right? And that's the state that I want you to try to access with this kind of mentality, with your presence, with your beingness. And once you really get how to do this, you can shift the world around you. Like, seriously, like if I were to view somebody differently, I would have to also view myself differently. You guys get that? Like if I'm seeing somebody as a villain, I have to be a specific kind of a person who perceives a villain. You guys get that? So it takes me away from my locus when I judge, but when I get more curious about somebody, I start getting passionate. I start getting interested. I start being in that loving or more playful nature of myself, right? Not kind of blocking off possibilities or creating more limitation and lack rather than what? Flourishing, opportunity, right? Thriving potential and so forth. So I really want you guys to think about this today. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. May we never be the same again. Hit that like and subscribe button if you watch this channel this far. You already know what it is, man. Uncle Makra out. Os.